Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Monday night recap edition of our November ILCA 5-day challenge. My name is your Queen Connectress, Miss Marnita Casa, and I will be your humble hostess for this evening. Now, there is one thing that I always like to say, and that is we totally understand. There are so many different things that you can be doing with your time, and that the nighttime is the right time for family and for preparation of the next day. So the fact that you guys decided to come on out and hear what we have to say, of course, that makes us so very happy. So again, thank each and every one of you for being here. Now, if you are part of our family, you guys know that every time we come to our Monday recap call, it's so bittersweet for me. It's bitter because there's a lot of you that I'm not going to be able to see until our next month. And then we're not even having one next month. We might, but most of the time we don't have another one until January. So some of you I'm not even going to see until January, but it's sweet because I am so very proud of each and every one of you that are here, that made it to the end. So give yourselves a round of applause and a pat on your back because you are here and you stood strong during the whole 5-day challenge. Now, some of you are even our winners. So to those of you who won during our drawing and during our spin of the wheel, I want to say congratulations to you guys as well. And I'm in the process of pulling up our YouTube channel. So my friends on YouTube, you guys, please, as you come on in, to those of you who want, as you guys come on in, please type your name and where you are from in the chat box. And you, my VIPs, hello, everyone. Thank you guys so very much for always coming in and coming in with great energy and your presence as you come on in. Type your name and where you are from in the chat box. And if you have the opportunity, please turn on your cameras. One of the best parts about us being on the Zoom side is that we get a chance to see all your wonderful faces and we get a chance to see those smiles. So I see everybody coming on, and now I'm going to start saying hello. First up is the beautiful Midge Woods. Hello, Midge. How are you, sweetheart? Thank you so very much for being here. It is always good to see you. I see we have Mr. CJ Jackson is coming on in from Arizona. Booyah. Hello, sir. It is always good to see you. Thank you so very much for being here. I see we have the beautiful Miss Jacqueline Briggs is here with us tonight. Hello, Jacqueline. How are you? She is coming on in from St. Petersburg, Florida. There is my good friend. His name is Nathan Hansberger. Hello, Nathan. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. Nathan is coming on in all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Midge Woods is here with us all the way from Idaho. I want to say thank you so very much for being here, love. Like I said before, this has been such a powerful, powerful week. We went from learning about what is blockchain to what is cryptocurrency. You guys, we talked about security. We talked about how you can be able to buy Bitcoin, but it does not have to stop here. A lot of you guys have heard our educator mention one of our programs called the Inner Circle, where every day, Monday through Thursday, my goodness, you guys, we meet up with our educator and we are able to go over the news, the global news that has to do with crypto. We're able to talk about new coins that are coming out. We're learning trading strategies and techniques. You guys, it is definitely the place to be. So like I said before, if you are interested in going, we can do that for you. All right, you guys, we are at the top of the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get our party started. Hello, Elton. As I said before, thank you guys so very much for joining us for our Monday recap edition of our November ILCA 5-day challenge. My name is your Queen Connectress, Miss Marnita Casa. I am your humble hostess for today. Now, it is my honor to introduce you all to a man that for over 25 years dominated the direct sales industry. His cryptocurrency education is used by companies and universities worldwide. For over 8 years, he dedicated his life to learning about blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, but he didn't just stop there. He decided to go out, share his information with the masses, and this was done by putting on fun and exciting Bitcoin boot camps nationwide at no cost. He has built wonderful communities and thriving platforms like you guys see before you now. So without further ado, it is my honor to introduce you all to Mr. Brandon Ivey.
All right, all right. Thank you very much for that introduction, Ms. Casa, and welcome everybody. This is our Monday night recap call for our 5-day challenge. As Ms. Casa said, we appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule and congratulations for getting through another week. As always, we hope you learned something new. That's always the point. And even though we've been doing these 5-day challenges for the last 2.5 years, every time we do this, even I gain something new from this experience. It's not even just me teaching. I also get a lot from this teaching and from you guys. And times and things change every single month. There's new information, and we are entering right now the golden era, the golden age of Bitcoin. The revolution is now beginning. It's now beginning. I shared a video with Ms. Casa earlier about another individual who echoed the same predictions that I have made for where the future of crypto is going. Now, normally I save just this comment for crypto talk. However, this comment I'm going to say one time for all of you, and I see my camera, it wants to act crazy on me now at the wrong time, but we'll work through this. But this comment is this, ladies and gentlemen, that cryptocurrency represents the greatest economic shift in wealth in the history of mankind for the most amount of people. However, the window of opportunity is getting smaller. It's getting smaller. We literally have this new timetable is about 4 years. 4 years for the amount of work that we do now in our attempt to accumulate as much as possible, where the average person can change their position in life, their economic status, to be a part of the top 1% of asset holders in the world. Every single one of you can right now. You're not going to see it immediately. This is something that you're going to see 5 to 10 years from now, what that means, that percentage. So this is bugging me. Let me see if I can correct this camera. Let me unplug this and plug it back in again. See. You guys can still hear me though. You hear me, Miss Casa? All right, yeah, that's my audio's on a different on my microphone than the camera part. And so let's see my camera if that made a difference. We'll see. All right. No, it did not. But we'll work with it. Miss Casa, let me know if it's too much of a distraction. I'll just have to turn the camera off and do audio. That's how I used to do it for the majority of my career. Never had the camera on. But I say that to say that congratulations that you're even taking this step to learn and to be here, because that's the first step. Now it's taking that knowledge that we shared and putting it into action. Putting it into action. Yeah, that is really, really bothering me. Miss Casa, I'm going to do something here, and I'm actually going to put you on the spot because you're dressed looking beautiful and you're ready for this. I need about 2 minutes to restart my computer. I'd like for you to share a story, and this is the story that I want you to share since we're talking about beginnings. I want you to share why you decided to be a part of Find Me. I'm your cousin, and we've got a big family. Why you decided to jump on and want to learn about cryptocurrency and what it's done for you, that knowledge and this journey of being my executive assistant to this point. So while you're doing that, I'm going to do a quick refresh of my computer, and I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Okay, so he put me on the spot. Usually I'm ready for this, you guys. Okay, this is a test, right? Okay, so what was it? First things first, you guys know Brandon has this voice, right? This presence about him. So I was scrolling through Facebook, and the first time I saw him, he was talking big about money and talking about generational wealth and these big words that I wasn't used to seeing. Normally I'm on Facebook and I'm laughing at memes or, silly reels, but he was talking about some real stuff, things that I hadn't never put my mind to before, things that I never thought that I could accomplish. And here my cousin was talking about it. So I gave it a little bit of a listen. All right, kept scrolling, but then he popped back up again, right? So this time I listened a little longer. And not only did I listen a little longer, but I started looking at the comments, right? Started seeing what these people were talking about. Now, these people weren't people that were out of touch. These were people like myself, you and I, and they were talking about, again, generational wealth, business, money, cryptocurrency, right? This thing called blockchain technology that was going to change the world. And so a little background about me and where I come from. Where I come from, man, there's not a lot of resource, whether it's monetary or through education. There's not a lot of resources where I come from. And you know, you're surrounded by somewhat of negativity. But even though that is there are people who brim with innovation and ideas and thoughts of grandeur. But there was just never anything that can get them from where they are to that point. And so for me, hearing about blockchain technology and what it can do for just the average person, I needed to know about it. Okay. I was always the type of person that, you know, I wanted to save the world, right? But when I started talking to Brandon, he explained to me that with $50 in my pocket, I couldn't save anybody. But if I learned, if I took initiative, if I took my knowledge and I put it to action, I could save the world. I could take $50 million and feed babies and help the homeless and all this wonderful stuff. But you had to start somewhere. And my somewhere was blockchain technology and cryptocurrency and the education of it, right? And personal development. I couldn't understand anything that he was talking about until I had the correct mindset to do so. And so, also through his personal development, I started changing. I started seeing that where I come from is not giving me the mindset for what I need to get where I'm going to go, you know? And so, blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, it allowed me to blossom into a person, a woman that I didn't even know existed. And so here I am now. Not only am I an executive assistant, but I am doing presentations. I am helping people change their lives. I have value and I feel better than I've ever felt before in my life. So cryptocurrency did all that for me. And thank you, Brandon, for putting me on the spot and making me spill my heart out to everyone.
Well, I was listening to
I
you
love
on
it here.
YouTube side, and so you were doing a fantastic job. Yeah, every now and then I gotta challenge you and put you out there on the spot. So you did a great job. And one day too, especially on stage, I can't wait for you to really share your story with everybody because not everybody's heard everything. And you have a powerful story, and others have also gone through the things that you've gone through in life that has molded you to where you are today. And every single one of you has a story in the past. And you know, I'm moved this week being Thanksgiving week. And this is a week where I said this morning in Crypto Talk, I said it on the MoveQuest presentation, that a week to show and have gratitude and to focus on that. But before I get to that, let's do a quick recap from what we learned last week and what Marnita went through the process of learning 5 years ago to get to this point. Well, one thing is most people have no idea what Bitcoin and blockchain is. So we covered what is blockchain technology? Why is it so transformative? Why should we care? What does it matter? Well, whether you like it or not, blockchain technology is going to disrupt every single industry on the planet today. Your opinion of it is irrelevant. We didn't get a say so. There wasn't a survey done in the 90s on whether or not we wanted the internet, whether we wanted to use email. In fact, there was pushback to all of that. Blockbuster Video laughed Netflix out of the boardroom when they told Blockbuster their long-term plan. It wasn't just to the laughing point didn't come because they say we are mailing people movies. Blockbuster already laughed at them about that. It was what they said next. In the future, we're going to stream these movies on your computer, on your TV sets. That's when Blockbuster laughed at them and said, get out of here. We didn't ask for it, but everybody's using it today, whether you like it or not. I didn't ask for a smartphone. I didn't care about it. It took a long time before I had my first real cell phone. I did have pagers back in the day. I thought I was big time with that. But a cell phone, everybody had a cell phone, and I didn't. I didn't really see a need for it. But now everybody, well, because of MoveQuest, it looks like I'm freaking Verizon or AT&T in my house. But it's a necessity now, not just a luxury. Blockchain technology for some is a luxury, but it's going to be a necessity. You're not going to be able to do anything without it. Web3 is being built on blockchain technology. So we've got to know the technology that underpins it, and that the governments, they don't call it blockchain technology. They call it distributed ledger technology. It's the same thing. Just like Obamacare is the Affordable Care Act. It's the same thing. The government officials want to call it Affordable Care Act. Those who don't like it going to call it Obamacare. So that is the first night. The second night we went over, now that we know what the blockchain is, what is cryptocurrency? How does that work? What is a token? What is a coin? Is it real? How do I use it? Why did it come to be? What's the movement of digital money, getting away from cash, physical cash? How's that going to benefit us? It is now going to be worldwide adopted. The government is now moving in this direction. I also sent Marnita a video. I forgot to tell you this when I talked to Marnita. One thing that the guy said too, because it doesn't matter left or right, Republican or Democrat, blue versus red. If this goes left, then you're going to see the whole world full of CBDCs. If it goes right, you're going to see stable coins as a rule of the day. One way or another, this is happening. So you got to know what it is, because you're going to go to work one day and your boss is going to say, you need to have a wallet. We're paying you in crypto. What? What? Well, if I get paid in crypto, how do I cash it out? Is it real money? What if the market goes down? But what if the market goes up? I think it was Ochocinco or some football player. He was the first to say, I want my contract done in Bitcoin. And they laughed at him. And they especially laughed at him when the market went down on him. They're not laughing now, because when he made that contract, Bitcoin was less than $20,000 a coin. Now it's right now about $95,000 a coin. Who's laughing now? He tripled or quadrupled his contract because he had it come into an asset that appreciates in value instead of depreciates. Do you know what depreciates every single year? This. This does. Does this ever go up in value? When you went to the grocery store and you paid $20 for groceries, are you getting that same amount today when you go to the grocery store? Will it ever be that way again? No. The only thing when inflation happens, the only thing you can do is two things: stop or slow down the rate of inflation and make more money to stay ahead of it. But eggs and milk will never be 50 cents again. That's not happening. I was taught before I was even in crypto by my millionaire mentors. They said, you ever want to stay ahead of inflation, then you need to make more money. And the broke people, or the people that work a 9 to 5 job, at best, the only way they can make more money, they're limited in their choices. Beg to get a raise on their job, get that Christmas bonus, or get a second job, or go to school, try to learn better skills to get a higher paying job by maybe 10 to 20,000 a year more, which isn't that much more. Or make sure that your spouse is also working and that they're getting it. And that's not enough. Inflation is catching up to all of that, and now it's above that, where people are spending 40% of their income just to pay their rent or mortgage. That's the reality of this. A new financial system is being built, and it will be completed in the next 5 years. So you need to know what it is, cryptocurrency and how it works. Then we talked about security. It's one thing now to receive your crypto. It's another to be able to make it, because this new system is decentralized. And that means you are the bank and you are responsible for the custody of your wealth. See, there's a reason why most million or lottery winners go broke within 7 to 10 years of winning the lottery. Or most basketball players, football players, baseball and hockey players that get rich at a young age because of their contracts. Do you know what their average lifespan happening as a professional athlete actually is? In the NBA, it's like 3 years or less for the average player. NFL's less than that. So you get one or two big contracts, that's it. But those guys are used to living a certain quality of life that when the contract stops, do they lessen their quality of life or do they still live as if that money's going to keep rolling in forever? And then you hear these guys that blew $70 million, $100 million, and they're 38 years old and they're broke. And they can't go back to getting a sports contract. They didn't get a college education. They don't have a skill set outside of playing professional sports, and they're done. You'll see them working at car dealerships. The people who win the lottery, the reason why they go broke after winning $200 million is because they never learned the skill set on how to earn that money in the first place. So they didn't learn the discipline of it. They definitely don't have the skill set and know how to keep it. That's what they call that new money. New money people. And you can always spot them out. Like I remember my mentor said back in the day, I go down to Malibu in the middle of the week in the afternoon where everybody's supposed to be at work. And you can see some of the rich people out there. And he said, I can tell new money and old money. And I see that one beach bum with shaggy hair getting in an old beat up looking VW bug in the middle of the afternoon. And he's 24 years old. And I know he's got more money in the bank than everybody else. And then you see the other guy pulling up in the S-Class Mercedes and wearing $10,000 on his clothing. Yeah, that's new money because you got to show everybody you got something now. Real wealth, they don't have to show it. They live it. It's a different in mindset. That's for another day. That's from the Ivy League Coaching Academy where I'll be getting into the whole mindset of everything. Wealth is not about being able to make money. It's can you make it work for you and multiply it after you have it. Your real employees, your real foot soldiers is not people. It's money and letting that money multiply. Most people, we're not taught to do that. We're taught to be employees. But I got sidetracked. Security. You have to know the knowledge on how to keep it, maintain it, and multiply it. Most people that do not decide to choose crypto education will lose some or most of all of their crypto eventually. It may not happen immediately. It might happen 3 years from now, 5 years from now. I have seen horror stories of people who have been accumulating for 6, 7 years to lose all of it in a split second. And 9 times out of 10, it's user error. It's not because they got hacked. It's user error, 9 times out of 10. Security. Then we talked about wallets, how to store it. Do you know the difference between custodial wallets and non-custodial wallets? How to have a cold storage wallet, how to have web wallets and desktop wallets. What's the difference between them? Can you use them for different things? So we talked about that. And it's also based on strategy. I use all of them. But there's some strategy. I never hold more than $10,000 in a Coinbase type account or in exchange. Any not custodial wallets, I will never have more than $10,000 on it. But I have my non-custodial wallets that I control, and you have multiple wallets. You never keep all your eggs in one basket. We talked about that for MQT. And then we talked about now that you have this type of knowledge, what are the different ways of making money in crypto? What's some of the skill sets, some of the things that you should do? First, the 4 rules. And this is rules that I learned based off of trial and error. I was not taught these rules. Now, you may have a different set of rules, and there's other crypto people out there far more successful than me that have their own rules. But this is what I've figured out that's worked for me, playing this in a conservative way in the crypto space, not like it's the lotto or it's Vegas. Trying to get rich quick. My long-term game plan. Rule number 1, education is key. Education is everything. Rule number 2, never invest money you cannot afford to lose. Rule number 3, always get a return on your money as fast as possible. Rule number 4, where do you see yourself? Short-term, long-term, 3 months, 6 months, a year from now. What are you willing to do to make it happen? What's your plan? What's your action plan? And then it's one thing to know where you're going to go, but how are you going to get there? If I want to go to New York from LA, there's different things. I can walk, I can ride my bike, I can ride a skateboard, I can get on a bus or a train, or I can get in a car and drive, or I can fly. Do I have a layover in Texas or Chicago, or do I have a straight route? Do I want to get there in 6 hours, or do I want to take 2 to 3 days? That's all. You got to know what you're doing, or you're on a rudderless ship. You ever heard those cruises to nowhere? Here in Long Beach, it's real popular, like party type cruises, where you can get on a cruise ship and not just go on to Catalina, but the ship just sails out into the Pacific, goes in a circle for 2 days, and comes right back to port. It's a cruise to nowhere. You're just out in the water having fun for a couple of days. Rudderless ship. You got to know where you're going first. That's another reason why many people fail in life. They have no idea where they're going. They're just trying to live day to day. They're just trying to make it to the end of the week or the end of the month and then reset. I have another 30 days to do the same thing. And you do that for all of your life. And then you realize that you're retired and you're broke. Now who's going to take care of you? Speaking of, now I want to go into sharing a little bit about my story, how I even got to this point. I grew up in a household that was like the Cosbys. It was not an option that my brother and I weren't going to go to college. That was mandatory. My parents were the first. No, they weren't. My grandmother went to college. My dad's side, one of the first generations that go to college. And so it was mandatory that we were going to go because that old American success story. Go to school, get good grades, and get a good job, a job that will take care of you for the rest of your life. And being African American, having that college degree was an extra step up to make sure that we can have a good quality of life. Because for us, you'd have to have a college degree just to be able to compete with those who had a high school degree. We had to work harder and be twice as good. So it was not a question, and I did that. I graduated from college, and the first job I was given my senior year was a company called DuPont. And I was going to be working out of an office in Augusta, Georgia. So I was going to go from Atlanta and then go down to Augusta. There was a job waiting for me. Well, the economy at that time, something happened. They had to lay off that entire department, and I got laid off before I even started my job. That was the first experience. And I realized something statistically that 1 out of 100 people make it if they work a 9 to 5 job and they retire for their entire life. That 97% of all Americans will retire broke, depending on family, government, and friends by the age of 65. That most Americans don't have $1,000 in their savings account. Most Americans don't have an extra $400 in case of an emergency without going into debt, meaning they got to pull out the credit card or borrow the money from somebody or choose to not pay a bill to do what you need to do. You have unexpected things that happen in life. In just the last 2 months and a half, in my family, we had to do an unexpected surgery, and we had 2 deaths in the family, and we had to have family travel from the West Coast to the East Coast like that. I didn't have to use a credit card, paid it with cash, prepared for these things. Most Americans aren't able to do that. Even earlier this year, I took my car into the shop for an oil change, and they're telling me, oh, you got $8,000 worth of damage. Are you crazy? I'm not putting $8,000 of work into the car. So I bought a new car right there on the spot. I didn't want to, but I was able to. If I was working a 9 to 5 job, I would have never been in a position to be able to do that without using the credit cards or borrowing money from family. But I learned that lesson, and I made a choice and a decision that I want to be my own boss. I want to be an entrepreneur. Now, you think that's a Cinderella story, because my first company I joined was a company called ACN. That's where I met, Pasha Carter, Steve Carter, Byron Nelson. All of my first main mentors came from that time. I was a senior in college at the time, 1998. And I still remember my very first meeting. It was in December 1998 in College Park down by the airport in Atlanta. and it was cold as hell. It was snowing, and my Morehouse buddy Robert Brown picked me up, and he had a like a two-seater, but somehow we fit four people up in that. Four of us, big men. And we went down there, and I walked into the room, and I saw all these people suited and booted, and they were talking about self-employment and making money. And the man in front of the room had all this expensive jewelry stuff on. His name was Sam Oram, and he pulled out a check that he made for the week that was $10,000 for the week in 1998. And that wasn't his residual, that was just his weekly bonus. My eyes said, bling. And all I knew is if these people could do it, so could I. All I need to do is be taught whatever it is that they did, then I can make it happen. I didn't know anything about network marketing. I remember my mom was in the Tupperware and Amway or Mary Kay type stuff and had Tupperware parties. That's all I knew at the time, and I didn't think nothing of it. But I saw these people doing it. I said, if they can do it, I can do it. I've never failed at anything in life. I'm willing, if it takes work, I'm willing to put in the work. I also was not coachable at that time either. I thought I knew everything. They always say about them, you can't tell a Morehouse man nothing. I thought I knew everything. And they taught me when I first got started how to do things. I didn't listen to none of that. On another day, when I have more time, I'll talk about my very first PBR, private business reception, that I completely messed up. It was like having, when I do the MoveQuest presentation, back in those days, there was no Zoom, there was no StreamYard or any of that. We had to do it face to face. You had to get up and leave your house and go to somebody's house to see a presentation. Okay, I'm going to tell you exactly how, because this is a funny story. I was told, Brandon, this is all you got to do. You got to schedule a private business reception at your home and invite everybody out. And you're going to invite them out through three-way calls, which means that I'm going to get on the phone with you. We're going to make a list of everybody you know. You know that whole story. Make a list of everybody you know. We're going to call them, and then we're going to invite them too. And I'm going to invite them out for you. And then when we do that, you only need is some chairs, some water, and maybe some chips, and that's it. The projector and the screen board, and that's it. You know what I said? I said, well, first of all, my people don't know you. I'm not putting you on the phone with them. You don't know who I am. I was at that time, my senior year at Morehouse, I was big time. I said, I'm gonna have a bunch of girls, I'm gonna create some flyers. They told me you don't need no flyers. I said, nah. I got some Spelman girls and some Clark girls to run all over Atlanta, putting up flyers. And then I said, I'm gonna make it an event. And college students, they love to party. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to we're going to have a business meeting, and then we're going to have a party at my house right after it. So you come for the business meeting to learn how to make some money, and then we're going to party all night long. And I'm going to have these girls running around town putting flyers up everywhere. I am who I am. And because it's me, everybody's going to show up. And then I went and got catered food. They said, don't do all of that. The day of the presentation, this was my very first challenge in direct sales that could have wiped me out. My very first presentation, we had invited hundreds of people. And I thought logically, all my seniors at Spelman, at Morehouse, at Clark, we're about to get into the real world. Who would not be open to wanting to make some money? I thought everybody's going to show up. Do you know how many people showed up for my presentation? 4 people. Myself, my roommate, my sponsor. Oh, yeah, the girl that I was with at the time, she showed up. She helped me set up. And the person who came to do the presentation, 5 people were there. I was devastated. I was like, what? What? After all this time and money and energy I put to get this thing set up? And the person who showed up, he just looked at me. He said, I expected that. I didn't expect anybody to show up because you didn't do it the right way. There's a way, there's a formula to do this, and you thought you knew better. And he said, and I let you do it because sometimes you got to fail and see that, yeah, maybe your way don't work. Do it our way. And then at the end of the presentation, all of a sudden people started showing up. And I ended up having like 60, 70 people at my spot at the end of the night because they came for the party and skipped the business meeting. I was so mad. I kicked them all out. And we're not having no party tonight. Get out of my house. I was so mad. And I was, and I, that was one of the first times I had to challenge myself and say, okay, I can quit. Obviously, if I can't get people, because I was about to move back to California, if I can't get my own friends and my own community, then how in the world am I going to go back to California and try to build? I was on what, 21 years old at the time? Like, who do I know? This is my city in Atlanta. And so I said, okay, I can quit, but my own ego refused to allow me to quit. I never failed at anything before. And I said, okay, this is a challenge. I'm not going to quit because I'm going to have to live with that for the rest of my life. Now, I didn't have immediate success. In fact, do you know how long it took me? It took me 10 years to figure it out. 10 years, not because the company was bad or the products were bad, because there were people making money left and right. I used to get so frustrated. I learned and mastered the art of giving a presentation, the product and services. I knew every single ingredient and all that kind of stuff. I could give the presentations better than the presenters could. I never forget this one little lady got up on stage to do a presentation. She was like the second highest position in the company. She messed the whole doggone thing up. Yet at the end of the night, everybody in the room signed up that was a guest. And my head is like, what? How come ain't nobody signing up with me? I can do a better presentation than that. The problem was none of that. The problem was me. It was the mindset. It took me until I was 30, 2010. So I got started in my journey 1998. I I don't want to say I quit the space. I left the space for about 2 years in 2006 or seven. No, right after I got married, right before, yeah, around that, between 2005 and 2008. And I didn't come back into the space until after I got laid off after the 2008 financial crisis. I said, I gotta make this thing work. So I figured it out. I finally figured it out. And we're getting close to the end of the year, which means I do one training once a year called The Secret. I only do it once a year around New Year's. So I'm going to save that part for that lesson. But I figured it out. And once I figured it out and I got out of my own way, everything changed. I started to have tremendous success. But just life is like the Bitcoin market. It's volatile. You have your ups, you have your downs. Another major turning point in my life was the year I walked off my job, was 2012. Now we're getting to the year when some of you knew me, like Jacqueline Briggs. She was around at that time. Shauna Ross. Those are two that I know that was around at that time. And I was working in my job. I got another job where some of the people I was working for, I had more degrees than they did, and I wasn't making much money. 2011 is a year I still have never shared publicly. That was one of the worst years of my life from my family. Only those real close to me know what happened. But I bet we bounced back going into 2012, and I was the top producer of this one company. And I realized once you reach the top, you start to see what goes on behind the scenes. For all that time, I was the person in the audience, cheering on the leaders and just excited about the possibilities and looking at these leaders like, they're everything. Once I got to the top and I saw what was going on behind the scenes, I was disgusted. And I was like, that's never gonna be me. I'm not operating that way. And the company I was with, I saw that the owner, he's out there publicly saying one thing and has a completely different behind the scenes. And he was running his business to be underneath the nose of authorities who might look closely at what he's doing. And there, he was comfortable right there. And I knew that for us to make more money that we want to make, there's things that he could have done, but it would have given him more exposure that he didn't want. So he was purposely holding us back. Now, because of that, I had to reevaluate. Is this something I'm going to be a part of long term? I'm trying to elevate. Now, I hadn't left or not, but just the rumors, him afraid of me leaving. And if I left, he was afraid that a lot of people would have followed me. Even though I wasn't the number one producer in the company, there were other people there. I had more influence than they did. I was in their downline. And so if I moved, he was afraid a huge portion of the company would go and do whatever it was that I did. So just off a rumor, he terminated me and held 2 months worth of my commissions. I was still working a 9 to 5 job at the time, but I was making good money and I was stacking my money up. At the same time of him doing that, the job that I was with gave us a warning, not a pink slip, but a warning that this was around February or March of 2012. And the warning was, yeah, they want to shut down our local office and move it to San Jose to some bigger office and centralize it in California. And we have the option of relocating and moving with the office, or we would be let go by August of that year of 2012. They understand that does not guarantee that we're going to do it. We're just letting you know that we're thinking about this. And whenever you hear that, you got to act as if it's going to happen. They're giving you a good 6 months or 4 or 5 months warning, heads up, like a wellness notice. And so now I got terminated from my side hustle that was making me some good money, lost 2 months of that income, and now I'm about to face getting laid off yet again for the third time of another company. And say, well, why don't you just relocate? They wasn't paying us enough money for me to relocate, and the cost of living in San Jose at the time was higher than it was down here in Southern California. My family didn't want to go to no freaking San Jose. Wasn't worth it. So I was at a very dark point. What am I going to do? And I got a phone. It was a Friday, and a friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, Brandon, you got to take a look at this opportunity." It was in the cell phone space, and I got started because of ACN was with the long distance cell phones at the time, the late '90s. He said, "You got to take a look at this company and what they're doing." I listened to the opportunity. I liked it so much. This was a Friday. I was still on my job. I said, I want to get started. And I've learned, and I'll teach this next year in our Ivy League Coaching Academy. I don't just get started in something to put my feet in the water to see if it's going to work. I launch a business. So I was going to have a launch that night. So this was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I put the word out that I was going to be having a special private meeting that night at 7 o'clock. The owner of the company was going to be on with me. And I invited 140 people to the call that night. So I got off work at 5, had to get home, get it all set up. And it was a conference call. At that time, I still wasn't doing Zoom. We don't know, was no Zooms. I forgot what service we did have to be on camera, but no, it was a conference call. Out of the 140 people I invited, 40 people showed up. 40 people showed up. That was it. Out of the 40 that showed up, like 7 signed up that night. 7 to 10 people signed up that night. So that might be looked as a failure, but it actually wasn't. I mean, I broke like 2 ranks in the first night. First week, the 7 turned into 40 to 50 people in 1 week later. By the end of that month, we reached 100 people on our team in our first 30 days. First 60 days, that 100 people turned into 1,000 people in the first 60 days. And I was already promoted to the second highest position in the company. 2 weeks after that, I had like 2 or 3,000 people on the team. And that summer, this is the summer of 2012, it wasn't a brand new company. It had been around for a few years. But the momentum that we created when we came on board, this is when Jacqueline came on board. We helped that company become the second fastest growing company, network marketing company in the United States. Also, what happened that year, because I was terminated from the previous company, there was a gentleman by the name of Troy Dooley who used to run like kind of like a podcast where he was always reporting on the industry and an industry advocate for direct sales. He had reported on me about a year and a half earlier as, the top 30 under 30 in the direct selling space of rising stars. And when he got word that I was terminated on some BS, he did a whole thing about it. So inadvertently, the CEO of that old company, by actually terminating me, he pushed me into the spotlight, and all his people left anyway. He caused his own demise. Hal Wynn was his name, the owner of that company. But the company was called Vitel Wireless at the time. And I reached regional vice president, and I walked off my job and retired July 13th, 2012, when I turned 36 years old. That was 12 years ago. Walked off my job and was full time, and I've never had a job since. I've been working now during over that period. Oh, there were a lot of ups and downs. You can make seven figures and you can lose seven figures just as fast because I still didn't have that financial literacy right. I still had to learn to get that part down. Don't just spend all your money. Don't increase your lifestyle just because you made more money. So I've gone up and down multiple times and then different companies and different projects till I got tired of the direct selling space. And I realized that the goal of making residual income, if you don't know what that means doing something one time and getting paid for it over and over and over and over again is non-existent today. Is that still possible for the old legacy companies, for people that's been with those companies 15 and 20 years in the health and wellness space? But the turnover is too high. In the last 15 years, there's nobody that's created residual income. And don't let them tell you that they lied, because here's another thing that these leaders do that you don't know. The money that they're telling you they're making was a contract and a side deal they got from the company to pay them to be a part of their company. A lot of these top leaders are part of these crypto projects. They don't tell you they were paid by that company to join them and to promote. It happens every day. A company, and I can't give any specifics, just to get me on board, gave me a $5,000 contract just like that. And I had just met them yesterday. Marty didn't know what I'm talking about. And these leaders don't disclose this information. And they sit there up on stage, or better yet, on a Zoom, acting like they're one of you. They did their due diligence. They said that this is the right opportunity. No, they were paid to do it. I even called when I saw that this stuff was going on. I made a video still on YouTube. What do I call it? The dirty little secret in network marketing. I was calling out a leader named Robert Dean. Go back and look it up. It's still on YouTube. It's a funny video. But I saw that that was happening and I didn't like it. But I had a lot of ups and downs in this space and said, look, I do want residual income, but how can I get it? And that's when I started looking at the crypto side. I said, instead of every 3 to 6 months, I got to rebuild over and over again to recruit people. What if I allow my money to work for me? And so I made that transition where I retired from the direct selling space and I jumped all into crypto and I had a plan. This is another learning lesson in life. You can have the best plan, expect it to go sideways one way or another, and it can be completely out of your control. If all of my plans as laid out worked, I'd have $100 million right now. Life doesn't work that way, but you still have to plan and then figure out how to navigate the obstacles and blocks that get in front of your way. But I had a plan. A friend of mine, we were in this real estate deal, and the summer of 2017, I was on pace to earn about $500,000 on a real estate deal. It was a sure thing that that check would have been cut in August of 2017. And you know what my plan was? 250,000 I was going to be banking. The other 250,000 is what I was going to use to begin my crypto career. I had already been studying crypto all year, YouTube and Google, learning everything and what's not. And I was ready to go. I had my launch was at the end of August, going into September. We were all good. You know that old saying, when 99.9% of the journey is done, you're halfway there. I learned that the hard way. Who knows about that was here at that time? It was probably Shauna Ross. Shauna knows what went down during that time. 99% there. This is how much it was done. The lawyers, the paperwork, everything was ready to go. But the main person who was filthy rich, all he had to do was notarize and sign the final contract. And you know what this joker did? He decided to take him and his family on like a 3-week vacation in the tropical islands somewhere. And for a week, he was out of pocket. The lawyers couldn't get in reach of him. And when they finally got in touch with him, they said, listen, we need your signature by this date. And he was like, oh, I'll just do it when I get back. They said it will be after the date. Because if it's after the date, then they got to start the whole process over again. And whenever you go on that second process, now it's too many opportunities for people to back out because now the economy has changed. We're in a different season. The housing market, the property market has changed. And it's likely that it doesn't go through. And then the other partner said, he's not serious. We're backing out. So in the 11th hour of something that was supposed to be a sure deal, well, I would have had $500,000 in my possession that I was banking on because I left network marketing. So I didn't have my network marketing. The money I was living off of was my savings all the way to that time. For a good year and a half, I was living off of my savings because I knew I had $500,000 coming. And then I knew I was going to go into the crypto space with $250,000 and I knew what I was going to do with it. So the 11th hour, it was taken away. And for the first time, I was faced with, how the hell am I going to pay my bills by the end of August? And I was like, see, one thing that I did have, and this is, well, I'll be teaching this in the Ivy League Coaching Academy, is the fact that once you learn a certain skill set, you can go from zero to $10,000 a month in the next 60 to 90 days. So I know if everything collapses, I know I have the skill set. All I have to do is pick what company I want to be a part of. And within 60 to 90 days, I'll be back at $10,000 a month. But in this instance, I didn't have 60 to 90 days. I had a couple of weeks. So it was going to be impossible if I decided to go against one of my own morals and values. Find a company willing to pay me $100,000 to market for them just to have a quick fix on my situation. And I refused to do that. I was not going to compromise and end up being like them. And those guys told me that's what I should have done. Hey, B, man, just go, man, get that contract. Man, I'm not going to name names because eventually they might hear me, but I've seen some of them do that. They knew the company they were a part of was bogus, but it was a quick $250,000 payday. And then they're telling all their people to jump on board that BS. No one, it ain't going to last. I couldn't do that. So, one, I had to borrow some money from my father. And I actually looked to get a job. Talk about feeling the lowest of the low. And here's the funny thing is, most people that work a 9-to-5 job, their greatest fear is losing that job and getting fired or the company going out of business because now you don't have an income coming in. But when you're an entrepreneur and you fired your boss already and you've had the taste of freedom, your worst nightmare is having to go back on the plantation and getting a job. That made me sick, just a feeling. And I actually did. I got hired. I had to go through this training program. And on the first day of where I was supposed to start the job, I have a picture out there. I didn't have it queued up now, but I took a picture of myself. It was with DirecTV. It was supposed to be my first day on the job. I took a picture of myself outside going to my car. And I have a big smile on my face. And just because you see a smile does not mean there's happy and joy behind that smile. You never know what somebody's going through. I was dying inside, but I had to be responsible as a husband, as a father, and to provide and do something that was literally killing me. And I made a choice. And sometimes, you know how they say football is a game of inches? Life is a game of choices. And sometimes some choices you make are pivotal to the next 10, 15, 20 years based on this choice, this moment. We all have those moments in life. What if I didn't go to that party? What if I didn't answer that phone call? What if I didn't get in the car that morning? What if I didn't go that route to work? Sometimes it's one decision that can set everything else up. And I made a decision. I said, no, I'm going to bet on myself. I went back in the house, took that shirt off, and threw it in the trash. I said, I'm going to make this crypto thing work. Problem, I didn't have $250,000 to start like I planned. I had $30. That's not a joke. And I have another screenshot of me doing my first trade for $30. My very first trade. And I was scared too. I tell you guys should have a trading buddy or a crypto buddy. Even with the community. We have our community, but you should have a buddy that you guys can talk to all the time and share do things together. Because when you have a buddy, you're more encouraged, even when you're scared. I had a buddy, and we were about to do our very first trade. He did his. 24 hours later, he called me up all excited. Brandon, did you do it? I said, nah, I didn't do it yet. He said, what's wrong? I said, I'm afraid to hit the button. He was like, man, hit that button. How much did you put down? I said, $30. And he started busting up laughing. He didn't know my full situation either. But he started busting up laughing. Oh, I'm about to talk about that one side. And when he was like $30, man, but he didn't understand. That was the only $30 I had. But when I did the trade, I made 3%. Now, 3% profit on $30 is not a lot of money. Why was I so excited and I was celebrating? Because in my mind, I'm like, what if I was trading with $10,000? 3% of that is $300. What if I was making 3% a day? That's $300 a day. What does that come up to? Hold on, let me pull my calculator up. $30 a day times 31. Wait. 30 times 31. That's $930 a month. And then I keep flipping that. I'm sorry, I'm not $30, 300. $300 a day times 31 days. That's $9,300 a month. That's a full-time income. I'm at my $10,000 mark just from me trading. So I jumped all into the trading side and I was doing very well. And I flipped that $30 into six figures by December, not just from trading, because I took the money that I was making and I started investing in other things and putting it in other things. One of them was a crypto project called Electronium. And that project netted me $60,000 in one day. And a lot of other people lost all their money on the same project. You know what the difference was? My education. I knew when to get in, I knew when to get out. Cy Smith brings up BitConnect. That was my first foray into some form of automated trading where you give them your money, it's locked up, and they do trading for you, and you make a certain percentage of day that you're able to withdraw for like 6 months so you can pull your main money out. I got involved in that. I made a lot of money. There's other people who lost all of their money. What was the difference? My education. I followed my rules. I only used money that I could afford to lose. I made my money back. Everything after that was profit. I knew when to pull out. I even told, it was a good friend of mine at the time who refused to get crypto education. Now, I didn't have ILCA at the time, but I used to do crypto talks though. That's when I first started doing crypto talks. He didn't want to listen to none of that stuff, nor spend any time, but he had money and he made a lot of money. And at one point I said, yeah, you need to pull that $100,000 out because it was a compounding program. And he was like, nah, Brandon, if I just do this for 6 more months, I'm gonna have millions of this, this, and this. I said, pull your money out now. You'll just put yourself 6 months behind, but at least you're not gonna lose anything. He was like, he got greedy on the compounding thing, lost everything. So much so that he completely left the crypto space and has never come back. And now he's doing, well, I don't want to say the job he's doing because he's still doing it and he's doing well on it, but it's a job when he could have been, financially set on the crypto side if he followed the certain rule sets. So my education has allowed me to navigate this crypto space and 8 years later still come out where I'm still working for myself. Because of the knowledge of the education that I had, another group of people approached me in 2018 to see if I could create some crypto education courses, and they were going to build a company around it. And that company was called Cryptogenics at the time, which morphed into KGX. And that's when we had our very first Bitcoin boot camp in Chicago, and that's where I met Melanie Davis. Jacqueline was there too in Chicago, Illinois. Very first Bitcoin boot camp that we did there. And that company made $5 million plus off of my crypto education with just 3 courses: Bitcoin 101, Crypto Advanced, How to Trade Bitcoin and Cryptocurrency. And it's not what you see today. It was different courses back then. That company made 5 million. Did I make $5 million? Hell no. It wasn't my company. I made only a very small percentage because I didn't know. I didn't know any better at the time how to negotiate properly and what was being done. I didn't know. I remember being so pissed off at the owner's son when I realized how much money he made and did absolutely nothing off of my education. After that, I started consulting for other companies and companies that wanted to use my education. I would make some product specifically for them. And this is why I made a whole lot of money because I had multiple clients out there using my crypto. That's one time where I was on a negotiation call. Marnita was on with me. And I made like $25,000 off that phone call. And she was like, wait a minute, wait, hold up. Did you just make $25,000 in like 5 minutes? Yeah. That was common for me at the time. She was, what? And so, but the problem of that is that I had no say in how those companies were running their business with my crypto on their name. And most of them were not doing what they should have been doing it all wrong. And so I said, at some point, if you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. I think economics was the one real main turning points for me when the whole KGX concept morphed into was going to be economics. You guys remember that one? The whole Ivy League Coaching Academy is kind of off the same type of mind frame of that. Economics, personal development, self-improvement, learning and education. Except I wasn't running that company and they never actually launched the doggone company. So I said, let me do it myself. And so my first company I created was called 3 Course Crypto. How many of you guys remember that? 3 Course Crypto. Now, some friends of mine created a website, tried to put it together using PayPal and whatnot, and with my 3 courses. It was a good start, but it was completely not even close to what I needed it to be. And that's when I said, okay, I need to really step this up. And I wanted to create Ivy League Crypto Academy. And I told Marnita about my idea. It was the summer of 2021. Yeah, the summer of 2021. And I was looking around for marketing teams that could put it together. And it wasn't cheap. I have spent on my company, I spent more money than people make in a year. So one thing too, you've got to be willing to spend money to make money. A lot of people want things for free. They're always focused on the cost. How much does it cost? Oh, that's too expensive. Where I focus on what's the value? What can I earn? I'm never concerned about the cost. I want to know what the cost is so I know what my numbers are, the cost of doing business. So I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars before ILCA even launched to put it together. And I had a goal of where I wanted ILCA to be. And when I hired my first marketing firm to do that, the goal was to have at least up to 1,000 members, paying members in ILCA. That's my ultimate mark. 1,000 members makes ILCA more than a seven-figure a year business. And to do everything from that standpoint, that was the ultimate goal. And we launched great. However, the marketing team I hired missed what I actually asked. See, they did a great job putting ILCA together, packaging what I already had. The point of me hiring them was I wanted to be able to put new eyeballs in front of my product, not just put a product together for the current community I already have. My current community has already seen my crypto education. They've been with me for years. I wanted to expand and have new eyeballs, and that's something they never did. So I had to make another choice, and it was long in coming, and it wasn't easy to do because I had already spent so much money and time to get to where we are. So I had to fire the marketing team. I thanked them for what they did, putting it together, but they did not do what my core goal that I asked, and the entire point to begin in the first place. I say, we're going to do it ourselves. I'll get another team. And we did that earlier this year. And it wasn't, here's another thing that people think, I got to wait till the time is right before I make a move. When the time's right, next year, the time's just not right. Let me tell you something. The time will never be right. It'll never be right. You just have to do it. But when I pulled the trigger, it was not just not the right time, it was the worst possible time. Thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars again to really start over and start from scratch. But it has put us in a much better position. What you guys are witnessing is this process because we're still in the process right now. Everything that I'm doing this year is me getting ready for 2025 and the new brand of ILCA. You might have started to see the colors change, the brand image. You see behind me, that has been kind of the brand, but leaning more on the Ivy League Coaching Academy in the blue with ILCA. By the way, those of you who are entrepreneurs and you have an LLC, I already did this, but I got a reminder. Registered agents, you've got to fill out there's a Corporate Transparency Act, CTA, that is due by January 1st. So if you have an LLC and you have not done that, get with however you're registered and get that done. I did it a couple months ago, and it didn't take long, and it's no cost, but you just have to register. It's the beneficial ownership information. And there's a fee to this. I forgot how much they're going to charge every day, up to $100,000 if you don't do this by January 1st, 2025. But anyways, my ILCA is not registered as Ivy League Crypto Academy. It's registered as Ivy League Coaching Academy. So I'm having different branches of that, and the crypto side is just one. What you're going to see next is the health side. ILCA Health. And you're going to learn when I start teaching this in the Coaching Academy side, how to brand yourself and promote yourself, not a company or a company, what they're doing. Never be a cheerleader for a company. Be a brand for yourself. So what ILCA Health, you'll see on social media, all I'm promoting is ILCA Health. And it will go along the lines of this. How would you like to turn your physical activities into an income? How would you like to be able to lose weight on a product that all you have to do is drop it into your drink every single day? That's where the marketing is going to be underneath the ILCA health banner, not MoveQuest and not Fix. Those will be underneath that banner. This also brings consistency into transparency. So people don't look at when they, I love when I see marketers online and they're excited and they're launching something new and they're acting as if this is the best and this is the greatest thing to ever come. And I look at their history. Just 2 weeks ago, they was talking about something else. And then a month before that, they were promoting something else. There's no consistency there. I would never sign up and work with somebody like that. But when people come to look at mine, obviously I have been talking about MoveQuest publicly, but I am consistent in what I'm doing. And if things change, because I can't control these companies or smart contracts or what they do. So by marketing my own brand and the umbrella and everything else is underneath that, like what we was attempting to do at ILCA Elite, if I decide to change course and move, the message doesn't change. It's just the products within that message that's changing. This is also part of branding yourself, consistency, professionalism, and CYA. So you won't see me promote MoveQuest all over the place. It'll be ILCA Health, and MoveQuest is in that one of our income streams. We're going to have our coaching side, personal development, how to be an entrepreneur. Every single person should have an LLC, whether you have something product or not. If you are engaging and earning income from a secondary source, have it in your LLC's name. Sign up underneath your LLC, and then how to pay yourself. So the income that I have, it doesn't come to me. It goes to the company. And then I pay myself like I'm an employee of my own company. It's all these little things that we're never taught to do that we're going to be having in our portfolio. And so all of that has led to where I am now. And the story is still being written. And I'm excited about where the future is going. We have a game plan of action, excited about the growth of this community. One of my goals for ILCA, the first goal is having 100 members in the inner circle. We've got about 40 or so now. If every single member of the inner circle shared with just one person, we'd have 80. And I will be getting back to doing presentations for ILCA and showing the affiliate side how to make money promoting ILCA. And there's no better time than now because interest in the crypto space is at an all-time high. And people don't know what to do or how to get started. Get crypto education. We'll start pointing you in the right direction. And we have a product where 100% of the people getting involved is going to make some money. Well, you don't have a better combination than that. Crypto education and making money, earning while you're learning. That is what this is all about. And my time's up on that, on sharing this part of my story. I've got many, many stories and even more details that I'll be going into next year in 2025, sharing with our community as we grow. But I do want to say this week of Thanksgiving that one, I'm appreciative of all of you. Even if you don't hear me say it all the time, I'm very appreciative of our community, of all the work that we've all put in, that what Ms. Casa's doing, what Joyce is doing, what our team members are doing behind the scenes, because none of this could happen without the community. You guys are the foundation, and I never forget that. So as I start moving to having outside marketing and a whole bunch of new people joining our community, you guys are the foundation. And we're going to have some fun with this as well. We're going to also have certification next year too, so you can be a certified graduate for ILCA. That's coming as well. But this Thanksgiving, be thankful and grateful for where you are, what you have. Most importantly, you still have an opportunity to change your current situation. That's one of the greatest opportunities of all. It's one thing where you're down and out and you see no way out and there's no light at the end of the table and you have no plan and you're just stuck. But there's another where you might feel that you're down and out, but you just woke up for another day and you do have an opportunity to change that current situation. There's a difference between being poor and broke. Everybody's been broke. You can change that situation. Most people who feel depressed, you're not depressed, you're just broke. Will you feel that same way if you woke up tomorrow and there's $50,000 in your bank account? It kind of makes whatever situation you're going through feel a little bit easier when you have money. So you're not depressed, you're just broke. Poor, though, is eternal. Poor, though, is generational. I even have a video about that too. I talk about the whole Katrina incident that unveiled the poor mindset. When I saw a woman say, if FEMA cuts my check, who gonna pay my rent? Without the thought of maybe if I got myself educated, maybe if I learned a new skill set, maybe if I, created a business or got a job or got a profession and a skill, I don't have to have anybody pay my rent. It could be me. But generationally, that's how it's been for 3 to 4 generations. That's all they know. That's a poor mindset. So if you want more out of life, you got to change what Jim Rohn says. If you want to change the things in your life, you got to change the things you're thinking and even the people in your life, or things will always remain the same. All you're doing is hoping and wishing and taking no action to actually change it. That's the first thing, making the decision. Most people don't make that decision. You hear the word, man, that must be nice. Man, I wish I had money. Man, I knew you could do it. Man, yeah, but you got this, you got that. Now, you know what I hear all the time? It's easy for you to say, Brandon, you got deep pockets. That's why you got all them freaking Omegas. Man, it's easy for you to build, Brandon. You got a following. So anytime you join a company, yeah, of course you're going to rise straight to the top immediately. Really? That's why I wanted to share tonight. I had 10 years of failure before I had any type of success. So my overnight success that you think came off the back of 10 years of failure. We all have to start somewhere. So did I. And I was always frustrated because it wasn't happening fast enough. And it looked like other people was happening much easier. It's like, man, things just come easy to them. No, they're just doing things in a certain way. Jim Rohn also says this. It's not in doing certain things, it's doing things in a certain way. You'll hear me talk more about that when I do the secret talk next month. So let me stop there because I will keep going all night. So I hope you guys learned. I hope that was more insightful. I hope that's some encouragement that it doesn't matter where you are right now. You are in the right space and area to change your current circumstances right now. I know that for a fact because you're getting educated and you're a part of an opportunity that's making money. It's just a matter of you actually doing it and taking it. And then don't be stingy in saving this information just for you. Reach out and help others and bring them to the ILCA community. Everybody, 600 people want to jump on a call with Lynette, but they don't want to jump on a call to learn about crypto education. That's the difference. Speaking of, tomorrow night is supposed to be a big night. On the next presentation and update with Lynette, we are expecting to have that app before Thanksgiving. So Wednesday, based on, I already know when we have our inner circle talk, and it's just for the inner circle at 2 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. I already know what I kind of want to cover because here's the question. How would you like to learn my next strategy to make sure every single person and part of our inner circle is doing $2,500 to $5,000 a month? I have a strategy for that I'm going to talk about on Wednesday. But on top of that, if Lynette, the timeline happens, then we will start to execute that plan this weekend, even on starting on Thanksgiving, and I'll talk about on Wednesday. Will be an execution plan, and it's going to be a plan also to help drive the value of the token up to the $100 range again, very, very quickly before Christmas. So that's the plan. You are in the right place. Congratulations to you guys. And I look forward to the next 5-day challenge, which won't be scheduled until January. The next 5-day challenge. Next month, I'm going to be doing a lot of work, getting everything prepared for 2025. And we've got some new courses coming. I tell you, one is going to be security. Whole course just about security. So that will be coming in 2025. So with that, take care, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening. And I'll see you on Crypto Talk tomorrow morning. God bless. Good night. Bye-bye.